Hello Kipsters, this is Miss Rivera here. Welcome to 6th grade math. For today's lesson, we're going to dive into the volume formula, and going beyond that, how do we apply the volume formula to real life problems in order to solve for unknown measurements, right? So we're going to dive into exercise 1. So this is exercise 1. The area of the base of a sandbox is 9.5 feet squared. The volume of the sandbox is 7 1/8 feet cubed. Determine the height of the sandbox. All right, so I've asked you to go ahead and write your problem on a separate sheet of paper. I have done that as well. So here we go. The area of the base of the sandbox is 9.5 feet squared. That's important. That's the area of the base. The volume is 7 1/8 feet cubed. Notice the different units. Area is squared, volume is cubed. And it wants us to determine the height. That is my unknown. Okay, so I've read the problem. Let's go ahead and draw out what we know. So we know that the volume of the entire rectangular prism is 7 1/8 feet cubed. The area of the base, so that means this entire bottom part here, the entire base down here, area of the base is equal to 9 1/2 feet cubed. Okay, so I have my drawing. Let's go ahead and start solving this out. Volume, 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 volume. So now you're asking yourself, what do I know about volume? And let's go from there. Volume is equal to area of the base times the height. That's what we know. We're going to use this formula to solve essentially all of the problems for today's lesson. So you're going to be using this a lot. Volume equals area of the base times the height. All right, now let's go ahead and start writing our equation with measurements that we know. So from the problem, we know area of the base is 9.5 feet squared. Keeping my work organized, area of the base is 9.5 feet squared. I also know that the volume is 7 1/8 feet cubed. So keeping my work organized, the volume is 7 1/8. I bring everything else down. And since I don't know the height, I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay, so my equation is 7 1/8 is equal to 9.5 times the height. And I am solving for the height. Take a second to think how you're going to solve this. All right. Before we jump into solving it with these numbers here, let's take a little detour and apply the same logic to some friendlier numbers. All right, so what if I have 95 is equal to 5 times a number? And I don't know what that number is, so I'm going to leave it as x. Now I know that 5 times a whole number, does equal 95 because 95 ends in a 5. And anything that ends in 5 or 0 should be divisible by 5 if it's in the ones place. All right, so if I don't know what this is off the top of my head, just like I don't know this answer off the top of my head, what do? Let's think about this here. 5 times what equals 95? If you don't know that off the top of your head, how do you figure it out? Pause and think to yourself, how do you figure that out? And if you're saying division, you are right on track. So to figure out what 5 times what equals 95, I will divide 95 by 5. So off the side, 5 goes into 95, 5 goes into 9, 1 time with a 5, subtract 4, bring down the 5, 5 goes into 45, 9 times. 5 times 9 equals 45, subtract, 0 remainder, and I'm done. So 95 times equals 5 times 19. And I figured that out using division. Again, if I didn't know 5 times what equals 95, I divided 95 by 5 to get my answer. 5 times 19 equals 95. Okay, let's go back to our real problem. If I don't know what 9.5 times what, if I don't know what that is off the top of my head, to equal 7th and an 8th, apply the same logic and divide. So now I'm going to divide 7th and 1/8 by 9.5. Okay, let's go ahead and rewrite our problem. 7th and 1/8 divided by 9.5 should give me my answer, which is height. All right. From here on out, this is why that do now was a lot of mixed number work, because it's a whole lot of mixed number practice for today's lesson. All right, so dividing fractions. Think about what you remember about dividing fractions. Take a second. And what should be coming to your mind is, to divide fractions, we don't divide fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. Again, we don't divide fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. And our quick way to remember that is keep, flip, change, or keep, change, flip, however you choose to remember it. All right, so boom, boom. All right, however, my mixed numbers will have to get turned to improper. To do that, multiply denominator times the whole number, add the numerator. 8 times 7, 56, plus 1, 57. Bring down the same denominator. I'm going to bring down as it is right now because I'm not doing my keep, change, flip yet. Sorry. Changing my mixed numbers into improper. 9.5. Multiply denominator times whole number, add the numerator. 9 times 2 equals 18, plus 1 equals 19. So that's 19 over. Keep the same denominator. All right. Now, we don't divide fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to say 57 over 8 times 2 over 19. All right. From here, y'all, if we are not going to simplify it right here, what we do is we just multiply across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and then simplify. However, I'm going to take a shortcut, and if you know the shortcut, great. Work smart, not hard. If we're cross-simplifying, we're looking at the numbers across from each other and seeing if they're divisible by the same factor. Let's take 8 and 2. 8 and 2, are they divisible by the same factor? By a same factor? Should be. They're both even numbers, so 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So I can rewrite those numbers in simpler terms. I go across. 57 and 19. Okay, I don't know this off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to add 19 over and over again just to check. 19 plus 19 equals 38, plus another 19. Guess what? Does give me to 57. So 19 and 57 technically are both factors of 19. So 19 divided by 19 gives me 1. 57 divided by 19 is 1, 2, and 3. And now I've simplified both of these values as well. Now that I've worked smart, not hard, I'm going to go ahead and go multiply across, numerator times numerator, and denominator times denominator. So I have my answer for my height. So what number times 9.5 gives me 7th and 1/8? I figured that out using division, and I got my answer of 3/4. So I can say my height is 3/4. What unit was I using? Feet? Feet. The height of the sandbox is 3/4 of a foot. The height of the sandbox is 3/4 of a